Yeah, that's right. You read the title right. NFL ADP First Look. That's what we're doing here at WinDailySports.com. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at JJansen34. And my guy, Stoweby, David Stoweby, joining me as well. And yeah, that's bleeping right. There is no NBA playoffs. And there's a nice Major League Baseball slate, but there's free content that you could already check out today on it. WinDailySports.com. All of the baseball stuff is free. MLB, DFS picks and pivots, and also full pitching breakdown, all available to you today. Oh, and also, you only have like a day or two left for the 2 months of gold for 44.44. Do that all right now. WinDailySports.com. But we have NFL ADP to talk about. By the way, when I say that, look at the smile on your face, Toby.
Oh, yeah.
And when I say NFL ADP, I mean the wheels just get turning for you. You seem so happy.
Oh, man. I mean, even in the offseason, even when I'm writing NBA articles and MLB articles and doing little breakdowns and monkey knife fight, I'm always spending a little bit of time checking out NFL stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of all like that. Most of us got started in DFS playing NFL. I would imagine. I know there's some folks out there that didn't, but I would say the vast majority of us got started when we saw Chris Prince and the advertisements back in 2013, pushing DraftKings, talking about winning $1 million. I mean, I know that's what hooked me. I got in there and I've been playing ever since.
Yeah, it's all about NFL. It really is. And it's July too. So now we got to start talking about football. It is draft SZN. It is draft season here at WinDailySports.com. That's why you should sign up now and take advantage of the summer promo. You get 2 months for $44.44, and included in that is going to be NFL content, which we are going to roll out here at WinDailySports.com. And this is a little bit of a start of it. And just as you get started, this is, the first thing we're going to sit down and do. What do you look for first? Like, what is the thing? Like, all right, you're starting to get ready for another NFL fantasy season. What is it that you kind of look into first to kind of either jog your memory, to look at, I guess ADPs and where players are? Just what do you do first?
I mean, what I do first is I look and see. I look for the, your major changes, your major trades, coaching changes, things like that. Yeah. Just to kind of see where the consistency is going to be from season to season, because, like places like Tennessee, where they lost their offensive and defensive coordinator to Atlanta, you kind of look at it a little bit differently, and you kind of want to look at Atlanta a little bit differently. You want to look for, rookie guys that showed a little bit of pop at the tail end of the season. It looked like they were coming in form, like somebody like Cam Akers or Swift or somebody like that. Just for example, Justin Jefferson kind of broke the mold on that, but somebody like him, just that year 1 to year 2 or that year 2 to year 3 leap. Look to see who's got the healthy offensive lines, who's made some changes there, because that's key. Your offense, it's all based on your offensive line and your coaching schemes. I mean, that's really all it boils down to.
Yeah, it really does. And, I think there are always those reliable spots that we can go to, and plenty of them. But what's the spot that has changed the most that you're interested in? A spot like Atlanta, a spot like maybe even Philadelphia now, where they get rid of Doug Peterson, and maybe there isn't this running back carousel that they've had. So what is that spot now that kind of piques your interest heading into this season?
You kind of hit the nail on the head there. I'm really interested to see what the Eagles are going to do to just see if they'll finally let Sanders have the bell cow.
And look, there's no running back behind him that should be taking any care. Like Kenneth Gainwell, great pick, but it may be third down type stuff that he could take, but not a lot of it. It should all be Miles Sanders. He can do everything. He's a 3-down back, and he should finally get that kind of push, I think, from Nick Sirianni.
I hope so, because I've been overdrafting him for the last couple of seasons, and
now you don't have to.
Kills me.
Yeah, now you don't have to overdraft him though.
So that's somebody that I'm definitely looking at as a bounce back, and I like a lot of the pieces on Atlanta with the coaching changes. I did a whole lot of film study on the Titans last year, because I kind of got deep into the weeds as far as their formations go, because they kept having them on showdown slates, and I do all the showdown articles for NFL, and I just found myself checking out the Titans a lot last season, and if they're going to run the similar style, there's a few places there that I like the idea of targeting. And now with Julio out, it narrows that tree even more.
Yeah, it does. And Julio is in Tennessee, and I'm sure now Tennessee's offense expect to be a little bit different. Is it going to be maybe a little bit more Ryan Tannehill in the passing offense? It's a lot of stuff that very interesting there, even though I don't think they stray too far away from what they do best.
No,
Yeah.
that guy's a monster, and he just got a big contract. They're going to run him till the wheels fall off.
Don't think they stray too far away from that. But let's dive into that part of it, because I think every time I have an early conversation about NFL season long and fantasy, it's always about the running backs. And we'll start there with Derrick Henry. How do you kind of view the top 5, top 6, even top 7? How do you view kind of that first tier? Is there anything that's kind of standing out to you, whether it is Jonathan Taylor in there, Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley debates, not only because it's Cowboys, Giants, but they're right neck and neck around each other. What kind of from that first tier have you seen in terms of ADP?
That first tier, honestly, I personally prefer to be, if you could get me down at 6 or 7, because I like the idea. I like Ezekiel Elliott this year because the line's back healthier. They have their full allotment of linemen, and I think he took a big hit, partly because of the injury to Dak, and then partly they pretty much didn't have any of their starting offensive line available.
Yeah, and what was a little bit concerning is a guy like Tony Pollard looked a little bit more explosive, which is like, okay, it's one thing, as you said, the offensive line, obviously the quarterback, and they're all going to be now putting everybody in the box to try and stop Zeke. But the most concerning part is when Pollard was in, he looked healthier. He looked more explosive. He looked fresh. And that was like, okay, maybe there's something a little bit wrong here with Elliott.
Oh yeah. Well, I think Pollard's just a little bit more elusive.
Yes.
And just, Elliott, and I know it's kind of a hot take as far as it goes. I mean, I think the guy can dominate if he has somebody that can actually block. He's not one of those guys that's going to be able to do it by himself. He'll do a cut or two every once in a while, but he gets downhill and he gets moving in a hurry, and that's where he's got all that success. It's just he's not as bad, so I don't want to sit there and poo-poo him like that. But it kind of reminded me of how Trent Richardson had that big first year, or had that decent first year years ago, and then when the offensive line had all those issues and they had all those changes, he turned into absolute garbage, and the next thing you know, he's out of the league after 3 seasons. So that's kind of the way I look at it. He needs that offensive line, but they're all healthy, and I like the idea of getting him at 6 or 7 or 8. I'm looking here at the ADP just over the last month, and he's gone as low as 16 in some of these drafts that they've done over at NFC. So if you're telling me I can get him in the second half of the first round, I absolutely love that.
Yeah, and here we have probably the interesting question, which I have kind of debated in my head, because I am a strict running back first 2 rounds, because I can find value in any way at wide receiver. I can always find wide receivers on the waiver wire. I can find wide receivers late in the rounds, and I just blast a bunch of wide receivers in the mid rounds, and most likely one of them or 2 of them are going to catch on and be good wide receivers. So I use running back a lot. But this year, because of the running back position being a little bit shady, it's the first year in quite a while where I've gone, maybe I should go running back, receiver, running back, because I do like some of the options you're getting late in the second round, maybe early in the third round, like Miles Sanders, I know we were talking about. So is that changed for you at all with the way running backs are? And if I'm to look at the ADP right now, the back end, Cam Akers, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, and of course where Jimmy Wagner's at right now, he's at the 10th pick, you said. So what would your strategy be? Are there good enough running backs late in that first round for you to stick with the kind of running back type of strategy?
I think this is the type of season where I'm a running back person myself, but I have found myself when I'm at the tail end getting a running back wide receiver or wide receiver running back. The one I'm not a tight end guy first round, so I'll never have Kelsey. I just don't like the position scarcity there, the drop. I don't like it. I don't like taking a tight end instead of a running back. So it's usually running back, wide receiver, running back. There is enough going on. You can actually find a couple of decent later round running backs in there. Like Mike Davis is let's see where's his ADP at right now. I got to go a good way down. Yeah, Mike Davis is 60 in ADP, and he's going to be the starting back on a team that's likely going to be running the ball a lot with Atlanta. Like we said, that's one of the people that I'm looking at. I like picking him up. If you can get him as an RB3, I mean, you're doing pretty fantastic. So I think this is a year where it's really top loaded with running backs, and I know there is a drop off, but there are some spots so that I do think you can go wide receiver in the second round and be okay in that scenario.
Yeah, it's that weird late first, early second running back group that I kind of have questions on. The only one I really don't is Nick Chubb, because I think Nick Chubb. I know Kareem Hunt's there, but he gets enough usage for the what the production he's able to do with it. His yard per carry average is insane. Like, this guy is legitimately maybe one of the best pure running backs in the entire NFL. So, and he will get enough carries. I think he missed games last season too, and he didn't even get over 200 carries and still had 1,000 yards. So I think the guy's going to be 100% fine.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
But Austin Eckler kind of scares me. Cam Akers, and I know a lot of people love him, but it concerns me a little bit as well, because Sean McVay, yes, used Todd Gurley, but Cam Akers isn't the talent that Todd Gurley is. I hate that comparison. I know Sean McVay wants to use one back, but one back if it's necessary, or one back if he is able to, because Todd Gurley and his talent, he was able to do it. But then once Todd Gurley, the wheels started to fall off a little bit. I mean, he started to play, what was the guy? I forget the guy's name. CJ Richardson, something like, I forget his name. Play with the Broncos as well too. I'm forgetting his name.
I know you're talking about that.
Yeah, but
they actually had 3 backs in the mix at one point in time.
Right. And so he lost even touches because when it started to go downhill, Sean McVay had no problem at all going away from him. I'm just afraid with Darrell Henderson there that like experiment or experience isn't over. Darrell Henderson's on that roster for a reason, because they think they both, I think, are able to get some touches. So I don't think Cam Akers gets that kind of Todd Gurley workload that everybody's expecting.
I do think they are going to have a little bit of a split share, but he did look.
He's the number one.
He did look good. Yeah, he's
DJ
the number
Anderson.
one back.
There we go. Jeez, I forgot his name. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, and we're talking. Yeah, we're kind of splitting hairs a little bit, but for a first round guy, you want them to be getting 85% of the carries. I don't want to take a guy that's going to be getting 65% as 65-35 workload in that scenario. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense for somebody like Akers. I'm not touching Eckler. I loved Eckler back when he was like 9th round ADP value. You could get him for nothing. Back when Melvin Gordon was still there, I scooped up all the Eckler I could get my hands on, and that paid huge dividends. But I do
always
not
had
like
value in PPR leagues, but now everybody considers him to be a top back because he's the primary back there. But I don't necessarily trust that at all. Aaron Jones, is that a complete stay away spot? I think from everybody, it seems consensus. Like, man, this guy's really hard to draft. If Aaron Rodgers, we don't know if he's going to be there, and if Aaron Rodgers isn't there. Because I know, look, out of everything, yes, I think it's Devontae Adams that suffers the most from Aaron Rodgers being gone. But Aaron Jones in the run game, I think, would take a hit as well if Aaron Rodgers is gone. Absolutely.
He may take a hit in the running game, but I'm not as scared as a lot of people are. And part of this might be biased, because, just full disclosure, I am a Green Bay fan. So there might be some bias built in. But if you're talking about a scenario where Rodgers isn't playing and they're getting down in the second half of the games, I think that running total that you're going to be missing is going to get offset in part by short dump off routes and things like that, where Jordan Love's going to be looking to him in the backfield, running little dump offs and things like that. So I don't think it's going to hurt him as much as I think it's a good bit of overreaction, because the guy's multifaceted. He's not going to, the only problem is LaFleur, whether or not he's going to turn around and stick AJ Dillon in the game in a situation where he doesn't need to be in there. He's got a bad habit of doing it. He did it the entire season last year. But I mean, at the same time, Jones still produced at an extremely high level, even in that situation.
Yeah, he's a very talented back, and obviously can get involved multiple ways. I just would be concerned because I'm just right. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is there, it's great, but it's just I I think that offense with Jordan Love gets scary bad. Like I think that it could implode quickly. And of course, we always try and get in at least on some of the best offenses. Now, sometimes the amount of usage that a player has is going to also dictate production, and not just if the offense is good or not. But I do think that has a lot, especially when you're drafting a running back like Aaron Jones late in the first round. I would have a little bit of concerns there. So there are running backs I'd like if Nick Chubb, again, if he comes to me late first round, I'm taking him every single time. Like I'm not scared by Kareem Hunt, man. Like I think Nick Chubb has proved himself way too much to be a better back than Kareem Hunt at this point. And Cleveland looks at him that way.
If you're really worried about it, just go ahead and figure out what Hunt's ADP is and draft him a half round or a round early. Right. And that's what whenever I get Chubb, I would just want to make sure I make a concerted effort to go ahead and pick up Hunt a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And that way you're locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I especially do that in best balls. So I do that all the time in best balls. Whenever I end up with Chubb, I always end up with Hunt.
Chubb is top 5 pick, man. This is what I love. We got all the takes coming in here for fantasy football. That is absolutely phenomenal. Send in your questions though, either on the Discord. You could send in. I'm sure we're all talking fantasy football now, but also here on the stream, either on YouTube, also on Twitter as well. Follow us at Win Daily Sports, but check out everything WinDailySports.com. So as I look down ADP more, there seems to be a couple of nice buy low spots, I would say, for running backs, but it's just trying to figure out which one of those are they. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in this conversation. Miles Sanders is in this conversation.
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon, absolutely. Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs. Now, are all of them the best? And you should be getting them, even if it is a buy low. That's just, again, where you're going to be in the draft.
Oh, and the always forgotten Chris Carson.
Yes.
Chris Carson's always forgotten about.
I think my championship I won recently was with Chris Carson on my team. But who do you think is your favorite buy low spot? Whether that is one or two guys, but is it Sanders? Is it Mixon? And I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has a chance to be finally that top 12 back that people were expecting him to be last season.
My personal favorite, and especially if what we were talking about, if you're on that late, even if you're all the way early, you could probably scoop them up if you're first or second, or if you're 12th in a 12-man PPR. Your Mixon and Sanders are the two that I am eyeing in that spot. If you are going to go with like a wide receiver in the first round, those would be the types of guys that I'm trying to pick up later on.
Yeah, and here's a question about Antonio Gibson. I think early there was something that came out early June or like late May, that something came out about a toe injury, and it was like, hold on a second. No. It was like, wait. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. But then all of a sudden it kind of that died down a little bit, and he
addressed it. Yeah, he addressed it. He just said he said it was the injury from last year, and he said it was more of a psychological thing. He was just worried about cutting. He's just scared to do it full speed. He said he's good as far as his health goes, but yeah, don't worry about Antonio Gibson. I think he's in a really good situation. So you're fine. Gibson's another one that I'd be good with.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson for sure. I had him last season. I was getting him late in drafts and all that. I really wanted every share I could get of Antonio Gibson. It didn't work out early on, but he did turn into a really good back for Washington. And I do expect them to use him a lot. It'll be interesting though, what that offense looks like, because it's not going to be the same like it looked with Kyle Allen or Alex Smith or Dwayne Haskins. Ryan Fitzpatrick's a much different quarterback. This guy they're going to push the ball downfield. If they're going to do just a traditional, drop back Ryan Fitzpatrick short passes, like they're using him all wrong. Ryan Fitzpatrick is only going to succeed if they have a vertical passing game. So I don't know if the running game, how involved they want to make it, or if this is going to be a strictly play action type offense. But I do think Gibson does carve out a role the Washington football team's offense.
And I was laughing just because when you said Ryan Fitzpatrick, the picture that he put up for his
No.
Washington. No, he did it like a kid that's going to school. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, year
Yes.
17 Washington football team. It was fun.
Fantastic.
That dude has when he stole Deshaun Jackson's clothes out of his locker and did the interview. he turned in my favorite quarterback. I don't even care.
Yeah,
Oh my God. He had all the hamburger meat hanging out. Oh yeah, I love that guy.
There are a couple of players, down in the 30 range in terms of running back rankings that are interesting. At least I would say probably James Robinson at 27 running back ranking, Chase Edmonds 28, Ronald Jones 32, Raheem Mostert 33rd. But I think Damian Harris, the injury heading into last year, I think kind of derailed whatever I think role he was going to have early on that season. But I think he eventually kind of declared himself as that number one back. Is Damian Harris the one guy that you're kind of keeping your eye on as the offseason rolls around? Because coming out of training camp and all of that last season, heading into the year, it was Damian Harris is clearly the best back in New England. But then the injury happened. Is that kind of, all right, I'm going to make sure to see, like, does he still have that spot heading into this season and healthy?
Yeah, Harris is definitely somebody because when he finally started to, when he got healthy and he was able to play, I mean, nobody was watching New England because they were just, God, they were so bad with Cam. It was just, it was hard to watch. So if you were enough of a glutton to punishment to sit there and watch these Patriots games, Harris, when he was going, he was running through people and he wasn't getting tackled by one guy. He was steamrolling. So Harris is definitely somebody that I'm looking at. And I'm looking, you see, we got Gus Bus down there. I'm just looking through the 30.
Yeah, I'm looking in the 30 range, and that's when I would definitely take a bunch of flyers on. At that point, you're in the 30 range. You're not expecting
Trey Sermon. He's going 81st in ADP right now. Trey Sermon, somebody because San Francisco's they always have injury problems in their running back core, so he can move up to the top spot in no time. He's you're talking, 7th round ADP for a guy that could have a workload on a run, the first team workload on a run heavy team. That's somebody that I'm pretty interested in as well.
So we do have a question here about James Robinson. Does ETN take away from Robinson? Look, I know ETN's running routes, and I know that they're saying he's going to be a wide receiver, passing game, but yes, it does because it's a new offensive system. It's a new coach. James Robinson didn't rush for 1,000 yards with this current staff in right now. So they don't look at him the same way. They're not going, okay, you had 1,000 yards last year. This is okay. Does he fit in what I do? Yeah. I don't know that answer, to be honest.
And which, I think he's great. And I think he could, if this situation, if ETN wouldn't have been drafted again, I think he could have repeated it. No problem. It's just, they have no commitment to him. He's not on a big contract. He was, was he unsigned or was he final round? I can't remember, but
I think he was unsigned.
Yeah. So they don't owe him anything. They're going to keep him there. I mean, they'd be crazy to get rid of something like that. But yeah, ETN is going to eat into his value. The coaching staff, they showed up and they wanted to draft their guys. They wanted somebody that would work well, work well within their system. So it doesn't matter if they're saying he's going to line up out there a wide receiver, but he's also going to be lining up at running back. So yeah, Robinson does take a hit.
Yeah, I think Robinson has to, just because of that. I mean, new coaching staff, and look, ETN's boys with Lawrence. I imagine that's
Lawrence why that happened.
And the top rookie, in this entire season, and the biggest quarterback prospect in a long time. I'm sure he's going to have some say in it. I do expect ETN to eat into that. Not saying ETN is going to be a must draft running back or anything like that. It is going to be definitely a split timeshare, but it's enough of a split that Robinson just doesn't have the same value. And again, the coaching staff, I don't think looks at him the same way as probably the other coaching staff did. As we now kind of closing here, and this is just the first initial look at ADP, and I guess it always to me comes to the running backs first, and especially this season because it's so. Just after the first tier of running backs, it's all up in the air. and it's really just kind of a mixed bag everywhere.
Yep.
But what is a running back that you have identified, either if it's late or even if it's in the middle or whatever it is, but just a running back that you are definitely getting the most shares of that you don't think everybody kind of has an idea of, or at least isn't on the same page or whatever it may be?
I mean, for me personally, it is like I said, Mike Davis and Trey Sermon are the two later round guys that I am looking to target. Atlanta is going to run the ball way more than anybody knows. They're going to run more 2 and 3 tight end sets than they ever have. Like Tennessee, Arthur Davis ran more 2 and 3 tight end sets in Tennessee than anybody else in the NFL. They didn't run 3 wide sets, or they rarely ran 3 wide sets, or one of the lowest. They ran 2 or 3 plays total last season with a 4 wide receiver set. They always had their 2 tight ends out there, and they were always trying to play bully ball. So I think Mike Davis is somebody that is really, really going to surprise people this year. And his ADP right now is, where did I say he was at right now?
Mike Davis right now is a 26th ranked running back and around a 60 ADP.
Yeah, 60 ADP. I mean, I think he's going to over exceed that ADP by far. No problem.
Yeah, definitely. I think has the chance too. Mike Davis is in an offense I think that is going to run, and his backup in that offense that I'm seeing on the depth chart right now, Connor Patterson. I don't think Patterson's
Mike. When they signed Patterson, I went and took a look, and who else does Atlanta have right now? I know they still have was it Edo Smith and let me see, Javian Hawkins. Todd.
I don't
Gurley
even see Edo Smith on the
Allison.
roster anymore.
He's going.
That's a bad running back roster. And Michael Carter, I'm going to temper my expectations with the Michael Carter stuff.
Yeah,
it is the
I
Jets.
want to see. I need to see. I know
the guy has talent, but I don't think he has that much talent to overcome what is going to be a poor Jets offense still.
Yeah, if we're talking about a 6-win Jets team, maybe that could be interesting, but I don't know what to expect from the Jets. I mean, I know what's his name? I've already forgotten it. Adam Gase is gone.
Yeah.
But
the running back killer. Yeah. If he was there, there would be absolutely no. But yeah, look, is there a chance? Like Michael Carter is definitely going to get involved, but I don't think the talent is so good that it's going to able to get production on an offense that I think is generally just going to be really bad. And it's all going to be about Zach Wilson. Like it really is. It's going to be just putting him in the fire and making that guy, try and, in his first season, really getting him through all of the obstacles it takes for a rookie quarterback to get through. How did that feel? Stoweby? How do you feel right now?
I feel great, man. We're talking football.
Tevin Coleman. That's the last one we'll look over. I do like that, Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I didn't even think about Tevin Coleman. He always ends up getting dinged up.
Look at that. Look at seeing Ajad with a little bit of a breadcrumb for me to go absolutely on Tevin Coleman.
Breaking news, a 184 ADP, Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, look, I mean, if we already have kind of reservations about Najee Harris and how he's going to look as a rookie behind a bad offensive line, then what are we going to say about Michael Carter? I know he's not being drafted nearly as high, but there still should be reservations about what he'll be able to do and his production will be this season. But that felt good, Stoweby. Good to be back talking fantasy football. And hey, everybody have a great 4th of July weekend. Enjoy the holiday weekend. I'm sure you'll be Stoweby as well. You'll probably have burgers and dogs on the grill type of guy for 4th of July.
Maybe a little Carolina barbecue.
Oh, I hate you. So yeah, I'm just gonna end the stream. I hate you. Everybody enjoy their weekend. We'll be back Monday right here and probably talking NBA, NFL. Who knows at that point?
Oh yeah, maybe some I'm down for anything.
We do it all here. Win Daily Sports. Again, sign up 2 months of gold. 44.44. Sign up before July 4th. But that's it for us. WinDailySports.com.